You're lying in bed at 2 a.m. Your heart is pounding. You know exactly why. You've traced it back to your childhood. You managed to recognize your perfectionism and mapped out exact psychological mechanism causing your anxiety. Now you understand your pain perfectly. But there is a problem. The anxiety is still there. Your perfect analysis changed absolutely nothing. If you are a highly analytical person, your brain is doing what it has always done best, reaching for logic the moment things get uncomfortable. And that reflex, the one that got you through school, through every hard conversation and professional challenge, is the exact same reflex that keeps you stuck. I'm Tomasz, and this is Clinical Breakdown. Let's start with how your brain actually operates under pressure. You have spent your entire life solving problems by thinking through them. You see patterns, optimize systems, figure things out faster than most people around you. So naturally, when something hurts, your brain reaches for the same tool. It starts analyzing and building a case study out of your own pain. In clinical psychology, this has a specific name: intellectualization. Unlike denial, which rejects reality completely, intellectualization accepts the fact of situation but completely rejects the internal physical experience of it. It is a defense mechanism where your brain processes information about an emotion rather than processing the emotion itself. On the surface, it looks like self-awareness, but deep down it is a highly sophisticated escape route. Instead of sitting with grief, you study grief. Instead of feeling anger, you trace its origin and dissect its structure, but feeling never actually gets processed. It just gets filed away under understood. This brings us to what tends to happen when a highly analytical person sits down in a therapist's office. Cognitive behavioral therapy works on a logical premise. Change the way you think about something, and your emotional response to it will follow. For the majority of people, this is really effective. The thinking changes, the stress response shifts, and life gets more manageable. But a highly analytical person does something different with those same tools. When a therapist asks you to explore a feeling, your brain immediately moves to dismantle the root cause before the conversation even develops. You already read the books, you know the name of your cognitive distortions, or you even can identify your attachment style. You feel as you can deliver a near clinical summary of exactly why you feel the way you do. It feels like progress. But what actually is happening is that your brain has turned therapy into an academic exercise, a place where you can demonstrate understanding rather than risk feeling anything. Your self-awareness, which is really impressive, has quietly become your armor. And here is where clinical research draws a fascinating line between thinking and healing. If we look at work of researchers like Dr. James Gross at Stanford University, who mapped out the dominant models of how human beings regulate emotions, we see a heavy emphasis on skill called cognitive reappraisal. This involves changing the way you think about situation to alter its emotional impact. For a highly intelligent person, cognitive reappraisal is effortless. You can reframe a painful memory, view it from multiple perspectives, and strip away its logical power in seconds. Through this, you build an incredibly high-level metacognition, the ability to observe and analyze your own thoughts from above. But relying on this constantly creates what researchers call a cortical override. You become so efficient at reframing your pain that you prevent the emotion from completing its natural biological cycle. You end up rationalizing your fear rather than actually resolving it. The trap emerges when we look at brain imaging studies. When a heavy emotion surfaces, your brain is supposed to activate the Salience network. This acts as a neurological switch, pulling your attention into a present moment. At and into your physical body so you can process the feeling. But in highly analytical people, that switch often fails to activate. Instead, when a highly analytical person tries to process a heavy emotion, they almost exclusively activate the default mode network. This is the part of your brain responsible for analyzing the past, predicting the future, and telling stories. You sit down to process pain, and your brain instantly generates a massive interconnected web of theories, memories, and psychological frameworks. You think you are feeling your feelings, but biologically, you are just thinking about them. True emotional processing requires something entirely different. It requires a biological skill called interoception. We've made a whole episode about interoception on our channel. I will link that above. But in short, interoception is simply your brain's ability to feel what is physically happening inside your body. The actual tightness in your chest, the drop in your gut, or the heat in your face. This is where the disconnect happens. Highly analytical people often have a massive amount of psychological data about their trauma, but almost zero physical connection to it. Their interoceptive pathways are profoundly underdeveloped. When an emotion surfaces, the brain essentially reroutes the signal straight back into default mode network to be analyzed, bypassing the body entirely. The analytical engine goes into overdrive, constructing detailed reports about the pain, while the physical stress response remains entirely unaddressed in your nervous system. The tool of analysis simply cannot reach the physical reality of the emotion. But how did this pattern get built in the first place? At some point, probably early on, you learned that emotions were unpredictable or inconvenient, simply maybe unsafe to express. Logic, on the other hand, was reliable and praised. It brought good grades, professional respect, and sense of being in control. Over years, you built an extraordinary, powerful cognitive engine, while your emotional regulation system stayed largely underdeveloped. Every life system you touched got optimized. Your nervous system was the one thing left running on its original untouched setting. The result is a specific and frustrating pattern that shows up most clearly when you are trying to heal. You can articulate your triggers with precision, trace your patterns back to their source, and walk into conversations about your mental health already equipped with frameworks and language that most people spend years acquiring. A good therapist will recognize immediately that this level of cognitive defense is one of the hardest walls to work through, because the usual entry points are blocked. The raw material of therapy, the messy, unprocessed feelings, has already been converted into something clean and conceptual before it even reaches the room. So, what does actual progress look like for a brain wired this way? The shift requires bringing interoception into your daily life. The goal is to work with the physical signals your body sends alongside the cognitive work, preventing your intellect from bypassing the body entirely. So start with something simple. The next time anxiety arrives, set a timer for like 90 seconds and focus entirely on a physical sensation, like pressure in your chest or heat in your face. Remember, your brain will move immediately toward explanation. It will try to ask why. Let the explanation pass and return to the sensation. This is purely biological practice. You are teaching your nervous system that it's safe to experience physical state without immediately converting it into a problem to be solved. From there, start noticing the moment intellectualization kick in during your day. When you catch yourself cycling through the same thoughts about the same problem for the 4th time. Pause. Name what is happening. Then Shift your attention to something physical and immediate, like the temperature of the room, the weight of your feet on the floor. Stop using thoughts as the only available response to discomfort. And over time, you have to start teaching your body how to handle discomfort directly. Not through thinking, but physical experience. This is why physical tool can work so well. A strong sensory input interrupts the spiral before your brain turns it into another story. It pulls your attention out of your head and gives your body something real to respond to. That might be the work that is harder than anything your brain has solved before. This is Clinical Breakdown. As always, please tell me in the comments down below. What is the one emotion you've analyzed endlessly, but still can't actually feel?